scale planning.
Okay.
You're planning on 3 different scales: daily, weekly, seasonally, or quarterly, however you want to think about it. So you have a plan for like the semester, the season, or the quarter. Like, this is what I'm working on. These are the big objectives I want to hit. Here's the reminders to myself about like what matters. Like, remember, like I'm overhauling my workout routine. We're trying to like do this with the podcast. You look at that scale of planning every week when you build your weekly plan. And the weekly plan, it gets free-form text. You don't need anything, any special tools. Your weekly plan, you're looking at the actual calendar. All right, what from my bigger scale plan, my seasonal quarterly plan, what am I trying to make sure I can make progress on this week? And you confront the reality of your week. You see where's the empty space, where there's the busy space. You also change what's on your plate right here. If I cancel this thing, that frees up that whole morning, which means like I could really make progress on this, which I really want to make progress on. So great, I'm going to cancel that thing on Friday. So you're looking at the whole week as one unit. Then every day, you look at your weekly plan. Like, okay, so I'm going to use this when I make my plan for the day. And when you do your daily plan, you do time blocking. Now I'm giving a job every minute on my work day, not my day after work, but every minute of my work day, I'm time blocking. So I call it time blocking because you're literally drawing blocks around the free time. Okay, this I'm working on this I'm working on this. So you're making a plan for your day that is informed by the weekly plan. So in multi-scale planning, you have like the big picture things you care about trickle their way all the way down to, okay, what am I going to do during this hour, during the day? But you don't have to grapple this is what most people do. Every time I'm figuring out what to do next, I'm not grappling with all these scales at the same time. What are my objectives? What's my big plan? What's going on this week? You're dealing with each of these scales when the time is right. And so when it finally gets down to it's now 3:00, you're just doing what that block is. And you figured out that block earlier today when you looked at your weekly plan. That weekly plan reflected what was in your semester plan, which you figured out, you spent a whole afternoon working on at the beginning of the semester. So multi-scale planning, it keeps you focused on what matters. It prevents you from wandering through your day and how you disperse your energy. And it gives you control over your time on different scales, from like canceling major ongoing obligations to just being more efficient about what you do during a given day. So I swear by multi-scale planning to try to keep this whole lumbering ship that is sort of like Cal Newport, aiming towards the right shores, like keep correcting and keeping it aimed back.
I love this. This is more or less what I do with my physical workouts. Every week I know I'm going to get 3 resistance training sessions, 2 or 3 cardiovascular training sessions. I know I'm going to train my legs once. It's either going to be on, depending on travel, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. I'll train torso muscles in the middle of the week. I'll train sort of limb accessory muscles on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Long run on Sunday or hike on Sunday or some other day, there'll be some sort of HIIT workout in the middle of the week. And ideally there's a jog in there too.
And you can adjust it a little bit based on the reality of the week.
Yeah, I might double up for 2 days, then take a day off. I have my ideal schedule, but sometimes it gets compromised. And then I do that for 16-week cycles where I vary the kind of intensity, load, et cetera. And I've done this for years, and it's just kind of works for me.
Yeah.
Now with cognitive work, I don't tend to do this. It tends to be more deadline based.
Yeah. And you can see the deadlines now. You see them coming, right? So that's part of what's nice about multi-scale planning is the deadline's coming up. And so when you're doing your semester planning, you start thinking like, okay, for the big deadlines, like when I get to December, I need to be really started getting after this thing that's going to be due.
Yeah, I've got a book due.
Yeah. So then and so this really helps me book writing, because now when I'm planning, it's like, a year in advance. I know this month I need to get like roughly the rough draft of chapter 2 done, and then that trickles down to my week where I'm going to make sure I have enough time cleared to like be on track for finishing it. And then that trickles into my day. Now I know to like block those mornings to work on it. So it all works together. An added bonus of the daily scale is, I would say, communication should get its own block. Email, social media, whatever that's like you communicating with the outside world goes into your time block plan. So if your block doesn't include that, you don't do it. So it's like, this block is writing. It's not email. It's not social media. So the rule is really simple. I'm not going to use email or social media, but I still need to do email at some point. So I have to put a block in for it. And when I'm in my email blocks, I'm doing the email. If I need to go on social media to see what's going on with like the latest episode or something, I got to give that time. And then you can monofocus, because then it's a psychological hack. But basically, when you schedule communication and distraction, now the only thing you have to muster willpower to do is obey the single rule of I'm following my blocks. If you don't do that, if you're like, I just sometimes do email and social media, and sometimes I don't. Now what you have to do is just constantly be having this debate. Is now the right time to do this? I know I'm going to do it at some point today. Why not now? Well, what about now? What about now? Like, you're just constantly asking yourself, right? That's impossible, right? That's going to drain you. But if all you have to do instead is say, my commitment today is to follow my blocks. And I really feel good when I do it. And like, I check off a box if I do, give yourself some feedback here. It's a much easier cognitive battle to win than just trying to be reasonable about, well, let me wait a little longer to check my email. Like, you're going to lose that battle, 8 times out of 10, which is like enough to really overcome it. So that's like a hidden bonus of time blocking, is now you can really get your arms around separating different cognitively distinct activities.